Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We've been looking into how psychedelics could actually rewire your brain.
Right.
And today, we're going to explore whether this is maybe like a much older idea than you think.
Interesting.
Yeah, we're diving deep into Brian Murarescu's book, The Immortality Key,
Okay.
which investigates these ancient religious practices and their potential connection to psychedelics.
Yeah, it really is a fascinating question.
Yeah?
Did ancient cultures intentionally use psychedelics to alter consciousness?
Right.
And if they did, what can we learn from them about the brain's potential to change?
I mean, that's what's so fascinating about this is
Yeah.
Murarescu really focuses on ancient Greece and the world of mystery cults, like, the Eleusinian mysteries and the Dionysian rituals.
Right.
He specifically mentions the Kaikijan drink in the Eleusinian mysteries and the ritualistic wine consumption in the Dionysian rites. Were these just average drinks, or was there something more to this?
Well, that's the mystery, right?
Yeah.
Murarescu is trying to unravel.
Yeah.
He suggests that maybe these drinks might have contained what are called entheogens,
Okay.
which are psychoactive substances used for spiritual purposes.
Got it.
So think of it as ancient cultures potentially, tapping into the power of psychedelics
Wow.
centuries before modern science.
So instead of just like grape juice or whatever, these drinks might have had ingredients that
Yeah.
actually had psychedelic properties.
Exactly.
Okay.
And Murarescu points to this ergot, which is a fungus that grows on grains like barley,
Okay.
as a possible source for some of these psychoactive ingredients.
And what's interesting is ergot contains compounds that can actually produce pretty powerful psychedelic effects.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah, some of the compounds in ergot are even related to LSD.
Oh, wow.
So that kind of gives you an idea of the potential potency
Yeah.
we're talking about here.
So Murarescu kind of uses this to build a pretty compelling theory, don't you think? He's suggesting that these ancient cultures might have intentionally used ergot
Right.
to induce these altered states of consciousness during their rituals.
Yes. And he supports this theory with archaeological evidence, too.
Oh, wow.
From ancient drinking vessels, residue of psychoactive plants. He even points to his symbolic artwork that hints at the use of these substances.
Oh, that's so cool.
It's really like putting together the pieces of a puzzle
Yeah.
to get a glimpse into, the practices and beliefs of these ancient cultures.
It makes you wonder, like, if they were intentionally using these substances,
Yeah.
what did they believe was happening?
Right.
And what can we learn from their experiences? Especially when it comes to, like, the potential for psychedelics to influence the brain's ability to change and adapt. It's what we call neuroplasticity.
Right. That's
Yeah.
one of the key questions that Murarescu's work raises, I think. It
Yeah.
challenges us to kind of rethink our assumptions about,
Yeah.
the history of psychedelics and their role in human culture,
Mhm.
but also to consider the potential impact they
Yeah.
could have on the brain,
Right.
particularly when it comes to neuroplasticity.
And it's not just ancient history.
Right.
There's a lot of modern research happening on this, too. Murarescu highlights research from, like, Johns Hopkins
Yeah.
and NYU that are studying psilocybin, the psychoactive compound in magic mushrooms.
Right.
What are some of the things that they're finding?
Well, researchers are finding that psilocybin can create significant changes
Wow.
in brain activity, even leading to really profound psychological and spiritual experiences in controlled settings.
Yeah.
And it's not just these like temporary changes either. The research suggests that psilocybin might actually promote neuroplasticity.
So could these ancient rituals have been tapping into the same potential
Yeah.
to rewire the brain
Yeah.
that modern science is just now starting to explore?
That's what makes Murarescu's work so compelling, right?
Yeah.
It raises the possibility that these ancient cultures may have had an understanding of the brain's potential for change
Wow.
that we're only now rediscovering.
Okay, so we've got these ancient practices
Yeah.
potentially utilizing these psychedelic substances,
Uh-huh.
and now modern science is finding that these substances could have a real impact on the brain.
Yeah.
How exactly does that work? What's going on at the cellular level?
Well, one of the key mechanisms seems to be neurogenesis,
Okay.
which is the growth of new brain cells.
Got it.
Studies have shown that psilocybin can actually stimulate the growth of new neurons in certain areas of the brain,
Wow.
particularly in the hippocampus, which is a region that's essential for learning and memory.
So it's not just about altering consciousness in the moment,
Right.
but potentially promoting the growth of new brain cells.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
It is.
Does that mean that psilocybin could actually be a tool for improving brain health and function?
Well, that's one of the exciting possibilities that researchers are exploring,
Yeah.
If psilocybin can stimulate neurogenesis,
Right.
it could have significant implications for conditions like
Yeah.
depression, anxiety, and even age-related cognitive decline.
This is where it gets really fascinating for me.
Yeah.
We're talking about potentially tapping into the brain's natural ability to regenerate and heal itself using a substance
Yeah.
that ancient cultures might have already known about.
Right, and it's not just about
Right.
growing new cells.
Okay.
Psilocybin also appears to enhance what we call synaptic plasticity, which is the strength of the connections between neurons.
So it's like optimizing the brain's network,
Yeah.
making the communication between the brain cells more efficient.
Exactly.
Wow.
Psilocybin seems to increase the expression of certain proteins that are involved in forming and strengthening synapses, those connections between neurons.
Okay.
And this enhanced communication could lead to improvements in a whole range of brain functions.
We're talking about potentially rewiring the brain for the better, enhancing its ability to adapt and learn. It makes you wonder if this could be a key to unlocking like new levels,
Yeah.
cognitive function and well-being.
That's what's so intriguing about this whole area of research, I think.
Yeah.
It challenges us to rethink our assumptions about the brain and its potential. You know, if these ancient cultures were indeed using psychedelics to promote these types of changes,
Yeah.
it suggests a level of understanding that we're only just beginning to catch up to.
This is seriously mind-blowing stuff. We've
Yeah.
covered a lot of ground in this first part of our deep dive,
Yeah, we have.
but we've only just scratched the surface of this fascinating topic.
There's still so much to explore,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to the specific ways that psychedelics impact the brain
Right.
and how those changes can translate into real-world benefits.
Stay tuned for part 2 of this deep dive, where we'll delve deeper into the specific archaeological evidence that supports Murarescu's theory and explore the latest scientific research on psilocybin and its effects on neuroplasticity. Welcome back to the deep dive. Picking up right where we left off, talking about this fascinating connection between psychedelics, ancient rituals, and neuroplasticity.
Yeah, it's really quite amazing.
Last time we discussed how Brian Murarescu's book, The Immortality Key, presents some pretty compelling evidence that ancient cultures may have intentionally used psychoactive substances like those found in ergot.
Right, and we started to explore the implications of that for modern research
Yeah.
on psychedelics, especially psilocybin, and its potential to promote neuroplasticity.
Yeah, literally rewiring the brain for growth and change.
It's pretty mind-blowing.
It is. You mentioned that Murarescu supports his theory with archaeological evidence.
Right.
What are some of the specific findings that he highlights?
Murarescu takes us on this fascinating journey across the ancient world, uncovering these clues in some really unexpected places.
Okay.
One intriguing site he discusses is Mas Castelar de Pontos in Spain.
Okay.
This site dates back to the 6th century BC,
Wow.
and it offers a glimpse into this unique Iberian culture.
What's so special about this particular site?
Well, archaeologists excavated a structure there that they called the Sacred Building,
Okay.
and it housed these 2 large silos. And one of these silos contained a mixture of botanical remains
Okay.
that really piqued their interest.
What kind of botanical remains?
Well, analysis revealed traces of barley, ryegrass, grape, and olive. Ingredients that might sound familiar from our earlier discussion of those ancient drinks.
Right.
But here's what's really intriguing. They also found evidence of several psychoactive plants in the mix.
Okay, now this is starting to sound more like an ancient psychedelic cocktail.
I know, right?
What kind of plants are we talking about?
So the mixture included opium poppy, cannabis, henbane, and black nightshade. This combination would have certainly produced a really powerful psychoactive effect.
That definitely supports the idea that they were intentionally brewing drinks with mind-altering properties.
Yeah.
Was there any indication of how these drinks were used?
What's interesting is that the silo was found alongside human skeletal remains and ritualistic objects. This suggests a possible funerary context,
Right.
meaning these substances might have been used in rituals related to death and the afterlife.
That makes you wonder about their beliefs surrounding death
Right.
and the possibility that they used these substances to, like, facilitate communication with the deceased or
Yeah.
to ease the transition to the afterlife.
Yeah, it's fascinating to consider, isn't it?
It is.
And this wasn't an isolated finding either. Murarescu describes similar discoveries at other sites across the Mediterranean, pointing to a possible widespread practice of using psychoactive substances in ancient rituals.
It seems like a pattern.
Yeah.
That brings us to another site that Murarescu mentions, Göbekli Tepe in Turkey,
Okay.
which predates even Stonehenge.
What makes this site so significant in the context of his theory?
Göbekli Tepe is truly remarkable.
Okay.
It dates back to around 9500 BC.
That's so old.
I know.
Wow.
And it features these massive T-shaped stone pillars adorned with these incredibly intricate carvings of animals.
Okay.
It's one of the oldest examples of monumental architecture that we know of.
It sounds impressive, but how does it connect to the use of psychedelics?
Well, while archaeologists haven't found direct evidence of psychoactive substances at Göbekli Tepe, the sheer scale and ritualistic nature of the site
Okay.
have led some researchers to theorize that mind-altering beverages might have played a role in the rituals that took place there.
So it's more of an educated guess.
Yeah,
Based on the context and what we know about similar rituals from other cultures.
exactly.
Oh.
The presence of large stone vessels and basins suggests the possibility of communal feasting and brewing, which could involve psychoactive ingredients. It's like piecing together a puzzle using the remnants of their culture
Yeah.
to try and understand their practices.
Right.
Did Murarescu find any evidence that's more directly connected to the mystery cults we talked about earlier?
Well, let's go back to Greece,
Yes, we did.
specifically to the ruins of a sanctuary dedicated to the god Dionysus.
Okay.
Here, archaeologists made a fascinating discovery, a terracotta vessel shaped like a woman's head.
A vessel shaped like a head. That's definitely unique.
It is.
What was so special about it?
What makes this discovery particularly intriguing is that chemical analysis of the residue inside the vessel revealed traces of wine honey, and you guessed it, ergot.
So they weren't just drinking regular wine in these Dionysian rituals.
It seems likely that they were intentionally using ergot to create this psychoactive wine, potentially as a way to induce altered states of consciousness
Wow.
during their religious ceremonies.
That's a pretty direct link between the use of psychedelics and ancient religious practices, especially considering the connection to Dionysus, the god of wine and ecstasy.
Exactly. This discovery, along with the other evidence Murarescu presents,
Yeah?
paints this really compelling picture of ancient cultures intentionally using psychedelic substances as part of their spiritual practices.
It seems like these ancient cultures had a very different understanding of these substances than we do today.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Instead of recreational drugs, they viewed them as like tools for spiritual exploration and connection to the divine.
That's one of the key takeaways from Murarescu's work.
Yeah.
It challenges us to consider the possibility that these substances, when used in the right context, can have a profound impact on our understanding of consciousness and our place in the universe.
It's fascinating to think that they might have understood the potential of these substances to alter consciousness and potentially even promote neuroplasticity
Right.
centuries before modern science caught up.
It really is.
But how exactly do psychedelics like psilocybin actually work in the brain to create these changes?
Well, that's where modern research comes in.
Oh.
Scientists are beginning to unravel the complex mechanisms by which psychedelics interact with the brain to produce their effects.
Okay.
And one of the key areas of focus is the impact of psilocybin on neurogenesis, the growth of new brain cells.
We talked about that earlier, right?
Yeah.
The idea that psilocybin could actually stimulate the growth of new neurons.
Yes, and studies are now providing more specific insights into how this process works.
Okay.
For example, research has shown that psilocybin increases neurogenesis in the hippocampus, a region of the brain that's crucial for learning and memory.
So it's not just about altering consciousness in the moment.
Right.
It's about potentially enhancing the brain's ability to learn and adapt over time.
Exactly, and by promoting the growth of new neurons,
Yeah.
psilocybin could have profound implications for treating conditions like depression, anxiety, and even age-related cognitive decline.
It's almost like giving the brain a boost, helping it to repair and regenerate itself.
Yeah.
What about those connections between neurons, the synapses? How does psilocybin affect synaptic plasticity?
Well, research suggests that psilocybin can also enhance synaptic plasticity, meaning it can strengthen the connections between neurons,
Wow.
making communication within the brain more efficient.
So it's not just about growing new brain cells.
Right.
It's also about optimizing the network that already exists.
Precisely, psilocybin appears to increase the expression of certain proteins
Okay.
that play a crucial role in the formation and strengthening of synapses.
Wow.
And these stronger connections can have a significant impact on a wide range of cognitive functions.
It's fascinating how these substances can work at such a fundamental level to potentially reshape our brains and our experiences. It makes you wonder if we've lost touch with a part of ourselves that ancient cultures understood intuitively.
Perhaps the resurgence of interest in psychedelics today might be a sign that we're seeking to reconnect with those ancient ways of knowing, to explore the depths of consciousness and find new paths to healing and spiritual growth.
This has been a mind-expanding exploration so far, but we've got more ground to cover.
We do.
What are some of the modern-day applications of psychedelics, and where is this research heading in the future?
That's a great question, and one we'll delve into in our next segment.
Okay.
We'll explore the exciting developments in the field of psychedelic therapy and the potential of these substances to transform mental health treatment.
Stay tuned for part 3 of our deep dive, where we'll examine the cutting-edge research and the potential benefits and challenges of using psychedelics to promote healing and unlock the brain's potential. Welcome back to the deep dive.
So far, we've uncovered this compelling evidence that ancient cultures may have used psychedelics, to alter consciousness and possibly even understood their potential to change the brain.
Yeah, really factoring.
Something we now call neuroplasticity. It's amazing to think about, isn't it?
It really is. We also dug into the science behind how substances like psilocybin can actually promote the growth of new brain cells and strengthen those connections between neurons. So
yeah,
it's
it really challenges our assumptions about, the history of psychedelics and their potential role in shaping human consciousness.
Right, exactly. And as you've been researching, Murarescu dives into some of this cutting-edge research happening right now at places like Johns Hopkins and NYU, using psilocybin to treat a variety of mental health conditions.
Yeah, really exciting stuff.
What are some of the most promising applications they're exploring?
Well, one area that's generating a lot of excitement is the use of psilocybin in treating depression. Early studies suggest that psilocybin, when combined with therapy, can help people break free from negative thought patterns and experience significant reductions in their symptoms.
So it's not just about masking the symptoms of depression,
right,
but potentially addressing those underlying thought patterns that contribute to it.
That's what makes this approach so promising.
Yeah.
It's about helping people gain new insights into their condition and develop healthier ways of thinking and relating to their experiences.
It seems like there's this growing recognition that mental health conditions are often rooted in these inflexible thought patterns.
Yeah.
And that psychedelics in the right setting can create the conditions for those patterns to shift.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
Psilocybin seems to create this window of opportunity for people to examine their beliefs and behaviors from a fresh perspective and make lasting changes.
Murarescu also discusses the potential of psilocybin to help people struggling with addiction. How's that work?
Well, researchers believe that psilocybin's ability to promote neuroplasticity might be key here. By helping the brain to form new connections and break free from ingrained patterns. Psilocybin could assist people in overcoming the deeply rooted behavioral patterns associated with addiction.
So it's not just about willpower. It's about actually rewiring the brain to support healthier choices.
Exactly. And early research suggests that psilocybin-assisted therapy can lead to significant reductions in substance use and improvements in overall well-being for people struggling with addiction.
That's really encouraging. Are there other mental health conditions where psilocybin is showing promise?
Absolutely. Researchers are also exploring its potential in treating anxiety, particularly in cases where traditional therapies haven't been effective. Psilocybin seems to help people confront and process their fears in a way that reduces anxiety and promotes a sense of peace and acceptance.
It's fascinating how a substance that can induce altered states of consciousness can also lead to a greater sense of calm and well-being.
It really highlights the complex and multifaceted nature of these substances and their potential impact on the brain and consciousness.
Murarescu also discusses the use of psilocybin in end-of-life care, which seems particularly profound.
It is.
What are some of the benefits that have been observed in this context?
Well, studies have shown that psilocybin can help people facing terminal illness come to terms with their mortality, reduce anxiety and fear, and experience a sense of peace and acceptance in the face of death.
That sounds incredibly powerful.
Yeah.
It seems like it could offer a sense of solace and meaning during a very difficult time.
Exactly. It's not about prolonging life.
Right.
But rather about improving the quality of the time that remains.
Yeah.
Both for the patient and their loved ones.
This all sounds incredibly promising, but I think it's important to acknowledge that psychedelics are still powerful substances
Absolutely.
that need to be handled with care and respect.
While the research is very encouraging,
Yeah.
it's crucial to emphasize that psilocybin is most effective when used in a therapeutic context,
Right.
with proper preparation, guidance, and integration.
It's not about just taking a pill.
Right.
It's about using these substances as tools for self-exploration and healing within a safe and structured environment.
Exactly, and as with any form of therapy,
Yes.
individual responses can vary, and there are potential risks that need to be carefully considered.
That's why continued research is so important.
Yeah, absolutely.
We need to better understand both the benefits and the risks of these substances and ensure they're used responsibly and ethically.
Absolutely. We're still in the early stages of exploring the therapeutic potential of psychedelics.
Right.
But the research so far suggests that they hold immense promise for transforming mental health treatment and expanding our understanding of the human mind.
It's an exciting time to be following this field.
It is.
And it makes you wonder what other applications we might discover in the future.
It's really a new frontier in neuroscience and mental health. As we continue to learn more about how psychedelics interact with the brain,
Yeah.
we might uncover even more profound ways to harness their potential for healing and growth.
This deep dive has been an incredible journey, exploring the intersection of ancient wisdom, modern science, and the profound potential of the human brain.
Yeah, it has.
We've learned that what was once considered fringe science is now gaining mainstream acceptance as researchers uncover these remarkable benefits of psychedelics.
And it's important to remember that this is just the beginning. As research continues and more people become aware of the potential of psychedelics, we can expect to see even more groundbreaking discoveries in the years to come.
It's an invitation to keep an open mind, to embrace the unknown, and to explore the vast possibilities that lie within ourselves and the universe around us.
Well said.
If ancient cultures could tap into the power of psychedelics for spiritual growth and healing, imagine what we can achieve with the tools of modern science and a commitment to responsible exploration.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the fascinating world of psychedelics and neuroplasticity.
Absolutely.
Until next time, keep those minds curious and those brains firing.
We'll see you on the next Deep Dive.